Welcome to Gataway. This is Will Sanchez. My special guest tonight is Kyle Irwin. She is the founder and chief executive officer of FEAT for Exploration, Adventure, and Travel. What a name. I'm thrilled to have Kyle as a guest.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Great. I should have mentioned the way I heard about you. I was doing the Lori Harris Hope and Dreams 5K in Roosevelt Island a few weeks ago. And a fan of the show came up to me and said, "Hey, you gotta have Kyle on your show. He has a great adventure to tell you."
Wonderful. Well, thank you to Betsy for coming up and speaking with you. I really appreciate it.
That's right. What's Betsy Petrick, I believe, is her last name.
Yes, and happy to be here.
Let's get started by introducing you to our audience. Sure. Tell us about where you were born, a little bit about your growing up years.
Absolutely. I was born in Rhinebeck, New York. I was born there, lived there until I went to college. I grew up playing basketball, field hockey, and soccer. And at the time growing up, I always thought the people who did track and cross country, how could they just run? Little did I know I'd later fall in love with it. But I grew up playing team sports and was fortunate enough to be a captain in high school, to also play AAU basketball, and won some other awards, which I'll leave it my high school years. Okay. But afterwards, when I graduated, I always dreamed of, growing up, I'd always be out on the basketball court in my front yard in the driveway with an atlas, dreaming of where I would travel. I had worked all one summer to pay for my first trip to go to Spain, and I fell in love with international travel. So for college, I needed to get out of New York, needed to explore, and I went to the University of Denver, where I studied finance and management. Very different than my entire family that are all teachers. So I broke out a little bit from the pack doing that. Okay. But studied finance and management, and then when I got out, I worked a little bit as a financial analyst, but wasn't fulfilled. And I had grown up volunteering, always volunteering either with our church or other different nonprofit organizations. And so that's when I went to the Peace Corps. Okay, well, before we get to the Peace Corps, which sounds very interesting, University of Denver, you said? Well, that's ski country. Were you skiing and other physical activities there? Absolutely. I grew up skiing from when I was, I think, 3 years old. So I skied probably during the winter every weekend. Loved it. Also during, I guess I should cover during college, was when I stopped playing team sports and decided to establish more lifetime kind of hobbies. So I started skiing more often, and then that's when I picked up running and swimming laps. So I started running during college and kind of never stopped. Okay, running on the college team level? Since I played so many sports in high school and was fortunate, I don't even remember the official name of the award, but I was most athletic female for my senior class in high school. In high school? When I graduated from high school, I was kind of over the competitive side of sports. And at that time, I wanted to just experience more, make new friends, and kind of push myself outside of the confines of a team. Okay. Now, you mentioned the Peace Corps. That sounds very interesting. Yeah. So you decided to apply, and did they send you someplace special? Yes. I spent 2 years in Panama in a Wonan indigenous community towards the Colombian border. And there I was a small business volunteer where I worked with and started a women's artisan cooperative. And that was located in the jungle up a small river. And so I would canoe either way to leave my village. And then we had one dirt road that wasn't drivable, but that was my running route. So if it wasn't too hot, myself and my small dog, we would go for runs. And the only thing I'd run into were cows. Cows. And you had your dog with you? Yes. So I had a very small dog. And she would quit at a certain point, but then when I'd be heading back, she'd join again. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. It must be quite a difference in culture between University of Denver, Colorado, and Panama. You said you were a small Sure.
village in a jungle.
Mm-hmm.
So you were living in a hut?
Yes, I lived in a small house that was about 5.5 feet off the ground with a thatch roof and no walls except for one small corner. I had 4 walls where I would sleep, and 4 hammocks, a water filter, a spigot, two light bulbs maybe, and it was great. I mean, I grew up camping. I grew up camping in the Adirondacks and exploring the woods behind my house.
Oh, okay.
So
were you used to these semi-harsh conditions?
Well, I was used to the outdoors, and Peace Corps is obviously a very
outdoors is better than
experience.
semi-harsh.
I would say not harsh as much as a very different experience, something that I was lucky, I feel, to be immersed in a community for 2 years, and not many people get to experience that.
Well, good for you. So you didn't miss air conditioning. Did you have internet access?
No, I didn't have internet access. I didn't have air conditioning.
Well, how did you get to stay in touch with your family and friends?
My first year, I would canoe once a week to use a payphone. So I would travel about canoe for an hour and then a few other steps to get to a telephone. So I did that. I tried to do that once a week. And then my second year, the kind of power of cell phones, they put a nearby reception tower in a nearby town, and it reached all the way out to my village. So at that point, I had a small prepaid phone where if someone called me, I could talk to them.
Well, that was a big jump.
Yeah, that was a big jump.
I mean, if you missed a week, your family must have been worried, particularly you have to canoe for over an hour.
Yes.
Well, that really must have helped with your physical fitness.
I got stuck in many storms out on the river. My nephews enjoy those stories.
All right, all right. So I'm sure when your book comes out, or if you're going to write your biography, many years from now, it's going to be quite a story. So after the Peace Corps, you said you were there for 2 years? What happened?
I was there for a little over 2 years. And then after that, I spent some time traveling. I grabbed my tent and my snorkel gear and got on a bus in Long Beach and went to Baja for a month just to kind of decompress. After that, I worked for an organization called Visions Service Adventures. They do trips for teens, community service-oriented trips. And so I led a trip in the Dominican Republic for a summer, and formed the program and worked a recreation program for children in a bate, which is for Haitian kids. That is a Haitian community within the Dominican Republic. And so I had kids from Dominican Republic, kids from the bate, teenagers, and then our U.S. teens all working as counselors at this rec program. So that was a special experience as well.
Okay, how many years did you do that?
That was just for one summer before moving back to New York City, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I then moved back to New York City, and I worked for a few years for a microfinance not-for-profit here in New York that gives loans out to the boroughs, the 5 boroughs. And I worked in Brooklyn, the Bronx, managing our Spanish and English programs.
So you call it micro. This is one of those
microfinance. So it's based off the Grameen Bank model, where it's a peer lending model where individuals, we provide business education, and then individuals approve each other's loans. So they're able to work on their own businesses, kind of learn the necessary education they need to hopefully start and better their own businesses, and then receive a small amount of funding to grow.
To grow. So that's interesting. So the businesses had to be in place, or they were planning on doing a business?
No, they were all startups. So that nonprofit was specifically geared towards individuals that couldn't access regular, personal loans through banks and things like that.
Okay, all right.
So I did that for 3 years.
Okay, and it sounds like this was open to anybody. You didn't really care of their immigration status.
Yes, that would be true.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. I didn't know they had that kind of program in New York City.
There aren't many. There are a few. There's also Grameen USA. And
okay, does that still exist today? Well, interesting. I didn't know that. I know you hear about it in the news, but usually it's in a country like India.
Absolutely, yeah.
now it's in our own backyard. You can get those microloans. That's interesting, So my father started up his own business many, many years ago. So if he were alive today and wanted to start up a bodega, this is a place you can go to get both business knowledge and financial aid?
Correct.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
And where did you learn Spanish?
In the Peace Corps. So you go through a training period for 3 months. I mean, I took Spanish in high school, but you go through a training period in the Peace Corps before you actually become a Peace Corps volunteer. And then obviously if you're living in a village immersed for 2 years and no one else speaks English,
Spanish improves
you pick it up
anything.
pretty quickly.
Yes, that happened to me when I was in Puerto Rico for a summer. My Spanish got a lot better.
Exactly. It's the best way immersion.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and after that?
After that, I moved to California. I went to UCSD.
Oh, back to school.
Yes, so I went to pursue my graduate degree in international affairs at University of California, San Diego. They have a great program. It's an economic and political science kind of focused program. And there, my focuses were on economic development, politics, and human rights. And I also started a women's running club for my program. So that was kind of a fun outlet.
So what does that entail?
We would meet once a week, and we would do different trail runs, beautiful runs in San Diego. The school's located along the coast, so we'd go on from horse trails to runs right along the coast in Del Mar, and just beautiful areas.
Oh.
Great outlet, you know, when you're in a graduate program and studying.
So this is a great recreational and a stress reliever.
So recreational, and then it turned into where we would have actually quarterly dinners. And we would read different publications going on from the Lean In book to other articles about women, kind of women's careers, empowerment, all of those different things.
Oh, wow, this is very recent. Lean In,
yeah.
It's only a few years ago.
I just went to grad school from 2011 to 2013. So
oh my gosh.
I worked for a while and then went back. I wanted to make sure I knew what I was passionate about, knew what I was doing.
Okay, well, you already packed in a lot of years into the short time. Okay, so...
And then that group parlayed and turned into an official, not just about running, but a IRPS Women Going Global. I helped found that, and that is now an actual sponsored club of the graduate program.
All right. So now you're back in New York?
Yes, now I'm back in New York. I stayed for 1 year in LA, and I started my business. So right after graduate school, we had actually... I'd actually filed the incorporation papers to...
This is for feet?
For feet,
which
before
stands
graduating.
For again, which I sort of mangled at the beginning?
Which stands for Exploration, Adventure, and Travel.
Okay.
So,
and this is one of the shirts.
This is one of our shirts. This is our main logo, which has the foot. And then this could go from whatever your imagination would like, from a wave to a mountain. And my sister actually drew it. So most things I do are a family affair. But this is the T-shirt from our first full and half marathon that we put on in Rhinebeck, New York, where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
It's called the Rhinebeck Hudson Valley Full and Half Marathon.
Okay.
Put all the paperwork together. Went to Peru and Patagonia to develop those programs. Any trip that I put out is something that has been hands-on, researched, experienced by myself. It's very important. Obviously, I'm putting my name on it. I'm growing a small business that everything is of high quality, and that my dream is that I'm taking kind of the feeling that I felt in the Peace Corps of being immersed in a community and what it feels like to really have that type of experience, and trying to give that level of intimacy or that experience to someone in a very short vacation, whether we're in Peru or whether we're in Patagonia. Okay. And so the ability for us active individuals that like to run or like to hike, to experience a place through using our legs, getting out, getting to run, hike, feel, touch, and then having it be a well-rounded program where you're also experiencing the culture, the history, and everything that makes that place special.
Wow. Sounds like an intimate group. Can't really be doing that with hundreds of people
right.
at a time.
So our groups are boutique, small, minimum of 4, but hope to grow into where we're always probably about 6 to 8, but 4 is okay too.
Okay, and you're the leader, perhaps with an assistant?
So far, I'm involved in everything.
Okay.
But we have, I have dreams of growing it out, and
of course, you're only a few years young.
Yeah, we're 2 years old now. So
2 years old. Now, when you say immerse with the culture, does that mean you have a family or facilities within the country, Peru, that works with you?
So I have a business that I partner with in Peru, so we work together. they know what the type of program I wanted to design. We spent over a year, designing it. From anywhere we stayed to the food, I've tried, handpicked, and then we together chose those to all the different trail runs or hikes we do.
Okay.
And then the philanthropies, I still try to bring in my background of economic development into anything we do. So we visit in a fun way that still gives back proceeds and hopefully builds awareness for the foundations and nonprofits we support. We visit with them from visiting an artisan cooperative in a highland community where our guests got to make bracelets. I did too.
Oh, excellent.
To visiting with a small children's school started by a Dutch woman, where the kids, there's an elementary and a secondary school, and our proceeds from eating lunch go to their education and their efforts.
Okay, so your small group experiences all that.
So there's a lot going into it. Yeah,
wow.
Absolutely.
And how long is this adventure? Or?
The Peru adventure is 8 days. And then to kind of make this even more attractive and more challenging and something unique, we do the Inca Trail in 3 days. I think it's awesome for several reasons, or unique for several reasons. One, the Inca Trail is pretty busy these days. There's a cap on how many people can be on it daily, and so we're always the first ones to start that day, and we don't see, besides our own porters, we don't see really any other tourists. You're not behind anyone in a line. And then by doing it in 3 days, our campsites are a little different. They're a little further than where everyone else doing it in 4 to 5. So we take all of that into consideration so that our clients get the best experience.
Oh, cool.
And there's enough time to hike and run.
Right. Cool. So when you say you're the first there, so that means you're there before the crack of dawn?
No, the Inca Trail opens at, I don't want to get this wrong, but it's either 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. I forget which. I just got back. We just did our first trip in July.
Well, it's a daylight.
But it starts, yes. You need to leave your hotel, and all the porters pack up stuff, and there's a lot of kind of prep that goes in that morning before you go.
Okay.
I came back to New York.
Did the adventure
change?
And
we're still doing it. No, not really. I was inspired to put on my first race during my time living in New York because for branding purposes and hopefully trying to build awareness for my small business, I worked alongside a race director for her season doing trail ultras, Kira Henninger. She does wonderful races in California.
Okay.
And so I worked alongside her during all her races for a season, learning about all the moving parts, what it takes to really do this type of race. And then, so I thought, well, what better than to put on an event I would be passionate about, and that would also help people experience what type of events and what type of things my business can do, and then maybe, that will help build our brand as well.
Okay, is that the Rhinebeck?
And that is the Rhinebeck full and half marathon. It's the first full marathon there. And it's a community event. I had probably about 30 high schoolers from the Rhinebeck High School that volunteered and got community service hours. There's, again, the way we try to give back to our community.
Excellent.
And we fundraised $5,000 in our first year for runners running for a cause, aid stations representing a cause, and student groups.
Okay. Well, now, where is Rhinebeck again?
Rhinebeck is directly north of the city on the east side of the Hudson River. It's a beautiful small community with wonderful shops and great for a day visit. And it's about 2 hours in car. The quickest you can make it would be 1 hour, 35 minutes on Amtrak.
And when is the next edition of the marathon?
Year 2, we are excited to announce it's May 14th.
May 14th of 2016?
Of 2016, and we just opened up our registration.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So people can go on and log in.
Absolutely, log in.
Get the early bird special and so forth.
It's a really fun race, fun day. All the awards are given out are from local shops, so that if you're fortunate to win one of the awards, you can go use your gift certificate that day. The food comes from the local bagel shop, so I think it's a great experience.
So how many people signed up?
We had 150 sign up last year, and so we're looking forward to obviously seeing that grow. And now that we don't have to go through all the hoops as much, the kind of putting it together, putting on the race, since some of that, the logistical side is all worked out this year, we're focusing a bit more on getting the word out.
Excellent, excellent. Now, what kind of marathon? Is it out and back? Is it a loop?
It's 2 loops, which I was a little concerned if everyone would like doing a loop, but we heard that it's such a beautiful loop that everyone loved it. You have views of the Catskills, you get some views of the Hudson River, country roads, rolling. It's not flat. I learned from people telling me it's not flat. Rolling hills, and you go through the Rhinebeck community, so it's really that small town feel.
So the whole town comes out to cheer?
I didn't expect for the whole town to come out to cheer. Everyone is busy, has their lives. But I did hear from runners that there were people out in launch chairs, so yeah. But you go by many farms as well, so you have that open feeling.
Oh, cool. So there's a loop, so you get to see people going this way and that way?
There's only one point where you see people going in either in an opposing direction, and that is a beautiful, my favorite part of the road, and we had to close it off because it wouldn't be safe to really have cars on it at the same time. And that is just, I think it's maybe 2 miles, a 2-mile section where you go out and then you turn around, and it's one of the most gorgeous views across this open plain, and you see the Catskills across the river.
Sounds like a good spot to put your photographer there.
Yes, I did have someone taking some pictures.
Photos are important.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it sounds like a great first inaugural one. It sounds like it went off nicely. Yeah. And you gave back to the community, and the community supported it. And I could imagine all the steps you had to take to get that going.
Absolutely.
It's never easy.
No, it's not, but it's exciting.
Okay. Well, let's go back to defeat, because you're now, you say you still do the Peru expeditions, but I think you expanded it. So you do other kinds of expeditions?
Yes, this weekend actually, we're going on our first weekend escape to the Adirondacks to hike and trail run. There's only a certain part of it that you can, I think you can really run. The rest is kind of rock scramble up, but Mount Marcy, which is the highest peak in New York.
How high is that peak?
It is just over 5,000 feet. So not tall compared to the 14ers out west, but I think it's about 5,344.
Okay.
More or less.
Well, we don't need the exact measurement. Yeah. But I never heard of Mount Marcy. So there's running, there's hiking. Yes,
you can trail run out to Marcy Dam, and then it's beautiful kind of rock scramble up. The last mile is the hardest, where you're getting kind of out above the tree line and going up more rock face. Gorgeous views of the tops of around the surrounding mountains and peaks.
Sounds beautiful. And this is your first one?
Yes, so I was just up in the Adirondacks for close to 2 weeks last week. Just came back, and so headed back up to take this group.
Okay.
And we're looking forward to it.
How many days is it?
It's just Saturday and Sunday, so everybody who's busy working, we're making sure they,
so they
can
arrive
get in
Friday
and out.
night, something like that?
We're going up early Saturday morning. We'll get there. It's about a 5-hour trip, and then time to kayak, go to the local brewery at night,
Does everybody
hike Sunday
travel
morning.
Together, are you saying?
This is as I told you, we do small groups, 4 to about 8. So this trip we have 4, and we will be going in one car. So we've handled the car.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you're going to have lots of songs to sing.
Absolutely. I'm going to show off my vocal cords.
All right. Well, hopefully that's a great success, and you can offer it again at the same time next year. By the time this airs, it'll already ever happen.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Since we're almost coming to an end here, I wanted to cover a couple of things.
Sure.
One, you said you've done trail running, you've done some running, but it's nothing competitive. Just looks like you like to do 5Ks.
I think half marathon distance is great. I see when I put on a race, and I'm inspired by people who love racing, the fulfillment that they get out of it. The reason I founded my business is because I love to run, I love to trail run, and I love to be active. I have lots of hobbies.
Okay.
But it's more about the experience, about going out, and not necessarily the race.
Okay. But for you personally, is there a race you're going to do just for yourself?
I'm actually doing a half marathon September 12th.
And which one is that?
Lake Placid.
Lake Placid.
I'm spending lots of time up in the Adirondacks right now.
Well, Lake Placid is famous for its Ironman.
It is.
And it has a half marathon,
It does. I think it's a Lake Placid Classic. I'm doing it with my sisters.
Excellent,
and my mom.
Yeah. And then, of course, professionally, sounds like you want to be spending all your time growing and nursing nourishing, I should say.
Absolutely.
Perhaps nursing too. It is your baby.
It is my baby. That is very true.
So that's
I don't have kids, but I have
probably your primary professional goal is to get that going.
Yeah.
Huh.
We were really thrilled by our Patagonia trip and by our Peru trip, and so we're looking forward to...
That's the ongoing thing? Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, what do you see 3 or 4 years down the road?
3 or 4 years down the road, we'll have grown out to have more than just one program in both Peru and the region of Patagonia, as well, because Peru, the Andes are gorgeous. There's so much to do there. It's a trail runner's heaven. So we'd like to explore that more. We'll still be doing our signature race, and then we'll be creating new programs in South America and hopefully elsewhere to keep our clients coming back and joining us again.
Yes, well, word of mouth is good. Yeah, all right. Well, on that note, thank you for coming in. It was a great adventure.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.